Hey YouTube, quick video. This has just got this in for a bit of a fix. This is a serial number CY16 of 2016, made in China, Squier J-Bass, Affinity series, black. It's just a jazz bass. Well, you're either a jazz bass fan or a P bass fan. I like P basses, so I don't actually even own a jazz bass, but it's the other bass, isn't it? So this is us full tone neck pickup. And now my favourite sound, obviously a jazz bass, to make it sound a bit like a P bass is, you turn up both pickups up to full. And to me that doesn't sound like any different. Are these both? They are both on. Okay, yeah. So I'm not really hearing much difference between the two pickups actually. So bridge pickup. Okay, they are a bit different. And then so I mean the main difference, this would be the second Fender bass. The first one would be the P bass. The jazz bass design was meant to be better for playing sitting down, which is why it's this way around, and it's got two pickups. It's also got a slightly different neck profile. It's kind of the same here, but when you get down here, it's got a thinner nut. I can't remember exactly what the nut is on this. This is a 40mm nut, so it's like 40mm, whereas a P bass is 42, which makes this feel much smaller, but it's only 2mm. For a P bass feels chunky. It's like, but obviously that makes a difference with how it's carved here. But I mean, I think I've said this before, but see the Squier basses. Squier basses, it must be easier to make a good bass than it is to make a good guitar, because the Squier basses are better than the guitars. I think anyway. Maybe there's less in a bass. I don't know. But I don't know if I've ever played a Squier jazz bass, but the Squier P basses and the Bronco and that are actually pretty good considering they're quite cheap. I don't know how much these cost new these days. Squier used to be cheap. I think a jazz bass has a bit more range than a P bass because you can kind of more does that better. You're sort of popping and slapping, which I can't really do. Try and keep this video as quick as possible. We've already been 5 minutes. I've not done anything. Yeah, so it seems pretty good. Not really anything. It's kind of quite basic. There's not really much to get wrong with these things. It does have a decent neck. It's kind of like the satin finish. I much prefer the glossy one. I'm not really faulting that. It's got a really thick rosewood fingerboard, proper rosewood as well, none of your fake rosewood. Bridge is pretty standard fare. There's not really much in it. It's a bent piece of metal with 4 saddles on it. Pickups seem pretty good. And you can get away with gigging this, no bother at all. Actually, the last gig I did, the Black Sabbath band, the support band, the bass player was using a Squier. It was a P bass, but P bass jazz bass, just slightly different, whichever one you prefer, really. It sounded great, absolutely fine, easily giggable in a pub band. Kinda a bit of bass. It kinda does anything. Like the P bass and the jazz bass are a bit like that. You don't, you can play metal on it or jazz even or whatever you want on it. It's not exclusive for us. If you've got like a spiky one, you kind of got to play metal on it and stuff like that. But I mean, this would do that no problem, but equally fit in with pretty much anything. So I mean. Yeah, so thumbs up to the Squier Affinity 2016. I assume CY 16 means 2016. This one's been fair bashed about a bit. It's one of those things that bass players do, I suppose. There's like, you get, I don't know, I've talked too much already, but you get two different bass players. You get the bass player who is the best guitarist in the band, therefore plays the bass, and you get the person who has a van and wants to be in a band and are just like, oh, we don't have a bass player, why don't you just buy a bass and then join in? It's dead easy. So you get your sort of, oh, you just have to play the root notes, and it's like, no, you need to do walking lines and stuff. I mean, you can't go far wrong with some one of these. And also it's like the resale value type thing on this sort of bass is great, because it's just a jazz bass. So anything from the 60s till now, jazz bass does it. Rock on.